I wanted to introduce Sherry Morrison. She is a certified divorce coach. She is an attorney and a mediator, and her favorite topic to speak about is de-escalation. So that's really what she's going to focus on today. There is a link to a download in the follow-up. So keep an eye out for that. But she's going to just kind of outline tonight some strategies for effective communication with your ex-partner. So we're going to end it out with Sherry. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Elise. So nice to be here again. And I wanted to start tonight by talking about something, even when we're done with divorce, that's really important. Whether we have to communicate with our ex or just communicate in general with people, it can be tough, right? Certain people escalate us. So it's really important in the work I do in my own life with everyone I encounter that we know how to manage and transform conflict. How do we do it? So tonight I want to give you what I call 5 tips for success to transform that conflict. So if you're taking notes, that's great. If you'd like, Elise will share a link so that you can download a PDF with these top tips, that you can practice them until they become a habit for you. And I would love to hear from you. How did they shift your life, if at all? Because really, I think what we find when we're talking about conflict, when we're talking about being aggravated by our ex or anyone else, how do we find that peace in ourselves? If we don't have peace in ourselves, we're certainly not going to ever have peace from someone else. So we need to figure out a path to that. And the first thing we do, and we're going to do a little exercise here tonight, if it's okay with all of you, and we're going to try to calm ourselves. We're going to de-escalate ourselves. Now, we all know when someone tells us to calm down, it's the worst way to have that happen. So I'm not going to tell you to calm down. I'm going to tell you to notice what's going on in your body and take some steps to figure that out. Because when we get aggravated, when we get escalated, when people come at us, it's really hard to do that sometimes. So anytime, the next time you face an escalated situation, I just want you to notice what's going on in your body. And I'd like you to pause in that moment, if you can, and take a deep breath. In particular, I want you to inhale to the count of 4. Slow down your breath. So let's all try that right now. Inhale. And then pause at the count of 4 and gently exhale, extending the exhale for as long as you can. New research shows it's actually the exhale that matters. Lengthening that exhale calms the body, calms all of those systems in the body to allow our body to be in a place where we can manage stress. So that's the first thing. All you have to do is remember to breathe, which of course we're going to do no matter what most of the time. But if you can notice the breath when you're feeling escalated and with intention, bring some calm to it. Just slow it down. Try that. Notice if it works for you. Count of 4 in, pause, exhale, at least a count of 4. And then after you've done that, I want you to do a full body scan. Do it right now. What are you noticing? Are your shoulders up next to your ears because you're talking about these subjects that get us aggravated? If so, just settle them down. Settle those shoulders back and down. And then do a full body scan. How are your hands? Are they feeling kind of tight? Just kind of move them around. They know this mind-body connection. Moving the body shifts our mindset. Wiggle those toes. Stand up, walk around if you can, if you're in a seated position. Do something to change your perspective, literally. That can help us shift our mindset. So the first step is all about the body and what we can do for ourselves and only ourselves, not about the other person. It's about us. So do what you can to find that space for yourself in any situation in which you're escalated. And then next, now that we've done that work, now that we find ourselves in perhaps a slightly better space, we're going to focus and we're going to reflect on the cause of the escalation. Maybe it's not in that moment. Maybe we're going to choose to be responsive rather than reactive. This is an essential difference. And let me explain to you what I mean. When we're reactive, we're acting in that moment. We're feeling our shoulders and our ears, and somebody has really gotten to us, and we're just going to say the first thing that comes to us, even if it's good and witty and really gets them, doesn't really serve us. In conflict, sometimes that's not the case. Instead, we're going to endeavor to be responsive. So maybe something has to be said or should be said. Maybe that's required, but maybe it's not right now. And you know who that's really tough for? People like me who like to talk a lot, because we just want to come back. We want to say it now. We want to get your attention and your reaction, but instead we're going to slow it down. So focus requires, in my professional experience, slowing down, becoming responsive rather than reactive. So take a beat. And now, while we're taking a beat, we're going to consider the possibilities. We're going to think about what really just happened. Was it a communication that escalated us? Was it an event? Let's think about it. Let's really analyze and try to get a 10,000-foot perspective. Don't insert yourself as the center of it. Think about it from your children's perspective. Think about it from whoever you're in conflict with, their perspective. Yes, dare I say it, even a former spouse. Why are they trying to aggravate you? What's their perspective? Have you ever heard that old adage, never let them see you sweat? Sometimes they're doing it just to engage us, right? And if we don't allow them to hook us in, they're going to stop it. At least that's the theory. And you know what? Sometimes it works. So we're going to think about all that, consider the possibilities. And next, we're going to do something, step 4, that's sometimes hard. We're going to try to get feedback. And we could surround ourselves with people, our best friends, our loved ones, who are always going to tell us what we want to hear. But that's not what we're going to do. We're going to ask someone. If you work with someone like me, that's great. You have some outside perspective. If you're talking to your financial person, even your attorney, although again, they're really good for legal issues, sometimes not so good on these issues that have to do with conflict, because they see a lot of it. And if they see us as clients as escalated all the time, they may not understand our perspective. So we're going to need to find someone who can work with us on these situations and give us honest, objective feedback. And by the way, those are two separate things. Someone can be honest and it's not very objective, right? We want someone that's not just going to tell us what we want to hear, that might say, hey, responding that way might put your kids right in the middle of the conflict. And the one thing we know about divorce is that if we put our kids in the middle of the conflict, it hurts them. And I know you don't want to do that. So what can we do besides that? And then we're going to think about all that, and we're going to create some closure. We're going to circle back to the communication, the escalation. We're going to figure out a plan of action if one is needed. If we don't need to respond, don't. Not every communication, not every event that's escalating requires a response. That's sometimes hard for people like me too. So we're going, though, to evaluate it, and we're going to use this new practice, this new habit, this new 5-step process to figure out a path forward. How do we get stronger and better? How do we feel empowered in our future? How do we take care of ourselves and our kids? Stop living in relation to your former spouse or whoever it is that you have conflict with. And you will find, I think, that this is a much more successful endeavor, and you may just find that peace. Again, a download of all of these steps, I know I was going pretty quickly, can be found in a PDF that Elise will share with you in the chat. So if you want to download this, hang it up somewhere you see it. And like any good habit, you practice this over 30 days, you too can internalize these steps and see what shifts for you. I'd love to hear from you. Even if you're not working with me, I want to know what's working and what's not.